Lord have mercy, we got our first bow review for the 2025 year, the Darton Sequel ST2. For anybody that's still not familiar with Darton Archery, the way I like to describe that company is they're one of the three original godfathers of archery, in my opinion. You had Fred Bear, you had PSE with Pete Shepley, and you had Darton Archery. Those three companies literally paved the way for all the other archery companies that you know so well today. Well, roughly about 3 years ago, the same fellow that owns Black Eagle Arrows and Conquest Archery decided he wanted to purchase Darton, and that's what he did. Year one, he didn't have a whole lot to work with other than what Darton already had in the works. Year two, he came out with the Sequel 33 and I believe the Sequel 31, which were great bows. Had a lot more upgrades as far as a sleeker design on the riser and a couple of little odds and ends as well, but still nothing really groundbreaking. But this year, I'm going to go out on a limb and go ahead and tell you before we get into the details that under the short period of time with the new ownership, as far as tunability and what you're getting in a bow, Darton has already surpassed some of the well-known names that some of you guys probably are shooting right now. First thing we're going to take a look at is their caged riser design, which is something that was on the Sequel 33 and 31 last year, but this one has a whole lot more cutouts for a stiffer riser and a better feeling platform. They also updated the lettering on the grip to give it a much more aggressive look in my opinion, and same thing with the limbs. We'll get into the folds of honor here in just a second, but now I want to go into what you're getting as far as tunability. So the first thing you may notice about this bow when you go to your local pro shop to test it out is it's going to have a screw on the top limb pocket and the bottom limb pocket, and it's going to be backed out a little bit, but don't lose your mind. I promise you it's supposed to be that way. That is their new patent pending Perfect Tune adjustable pocket system. Now there's already a few companies on the market that already play with the deflections of the limbs in order to get your left and right paper tear out. This is the same concept, they're just going about it a different way and kind of a little simpler in my opinion, because literally depending on if you get a left or right tear is going to determine if you put this screw in the left or right limb pocket, and depending on how bad or good that tear is, it's going to depend on how far you screw it in to change the deflection of that particular limb. You're going to do it on the top and you're going to do it on the bottom. So Darton's already coming out of the gate swinging, saying, hey, we can come up with some pretty cool tuning technology too, which I absolutely love seeing that. And like I said, this is only year 3 for this company. Now something else they added as far as tunability goes is their perfect timing yoke system. This is not very common on any manufacturer's bows. I think Bowtech is about the only other one out there to my knowledge to where you can actually change the timing without the use of a bow press. Darton Archery went ahead and added that into this whole package deal now just by turning a little set screw, obviously turning it outwards to loosen it. You can now twist this bottom post, this is a 2-part system, to either add twist or take away twist to whichever take-up cable you need to adjust the timing on your bow. Believe it or not, I actually had to read the directions on how to operate this since I had this bow before launch day and there's no other information out there. And it is highly, highly recommended, if not almost law, I would say, if you put this in a draw board or if one of you gooberheads wants to try doing it at full draw and adjusting the timing, do not. You need to have the bow at rest. Make your little quarter, half inch, whatever, just 1/8 of an inch twist to adjust the timing, and then draw the bow again and see if you did it right or not. That's something else that's really cool about this perfect timing ordeal. If any of you guys have ever tried to put a bow in time, you know you can obviously either go a full twist or a half a twist with the cables, and sometimes you may just not get it quite right or just right where you want it, and you're basically out of adjustment basically because you can only do a half or a full twist. And that is something that's really cool about this perfect timing ordeal. You're not limited to a half a twist or a full twist on your cables. You can tighten it or loosen it however far or however little you need to in order to get your bow perfectly in time. Hence the perfect timing name. I don't know what all colors are going to be available in this bow just yet, but I really like this one. Unless they just got something off the wall that I haven't seen yet, I probably would have went with it anyways. This is like a military multi-camo color, which is something different you don't see on bows very often. Kind of gives it that old school and kind of salute the troops feel all in the same ordeal. Speaking of salute the troops, now we're going to circle back to the folds of honor ordeal. Now I did get a little ahead of myself and put an arrow rest on here so you can't actually see it, but you can take my word for it. They actually went with the QAD integrated mount option and the Hamskea core mount option, so you have both of 2 of the most popular rest options on the market in their integrated form. To where you can mount it to the back of the riser, but of course you have the burger hole options as well. Now I did weigh this bow right out of the box without the rest. All I did was put a D-loop on there, and the mass weight of everything you see here, once again without the arrow rest, was 5.2 pounds, which for a 35-inch axle-to-axle bow, that's really about par for the course. Oh yeah, I guess I should touch on the specs. That'd be pretty helpful, huh? Just like I said, 35-inch axle to axle, 6.5-inch brace height. Thank you so much. For me personally, a 6.5-inch brace height is that perfect medium between a non-aggressive draw cycle, but a little bit more than average speed. And it's a bow you're able to shoot a lot, especially on this platform right here, being 35 ATA with that brace height. It's going to be forgiving. You're going to have a great string angle, and you're just going to be able to shoot it all freaking day. I think that was all the boring stuff. Y'all want to shoot this thing? I do. Two other things I forgot to mention about this bow. That there's a lot going on. Y'all bear with me. It does have a rotating mod, which is available, not available. It comes in half-inch increments, so 27.5, 28, 28.5, so on and so forth. I don't remember exactly what all it is, but I'm assuming it'll probably get out to at least 31, 31.5. You can check it out on their website. Something interesting that this bow does come with is 2 different string stops for different let-off. It's going to come set with some skinny post, which is going to give you about 81. Actually, I just put it on the scale. It was actually 81 point something as far as the percentage of let-off. But it also comes with some fat stops as well. And the only reason you would need that is, one, if you want to add holding weight, it's going to give you about 75, maybe a little less on the let-off. But if for some reason this bow has a bad dump off in the end, it's going to help eliminate that dump off. I mean, yes, you're giving up let-off, but it's going to make the draw cycle a lot more constant in the back end. So you have that option. All you got to do is unscrew the old one and put the new one in. And now we are going to shoot this thing. If anybody wondered if I was going to do a chronograph test, no, I'm not going to. And the reason why is because it's kind of like our government. A IBO speed is very unrealistic, it's not reliable, and it's going to be borderline dangerous to actually get those speeds out of your bow, because you have to shoot a super unrealistic hunting weight in order to get those speeds. I'm also not going to do any kind of decimal test. I know some guys do it, but I haven't seen a whole lot of consistency as far as a decimal reader goes. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be just like a customer going into a shop to test a bow. I'm going to pay attention to the draw cycle, and I'm also going to listen to the shot, because that's basically what a customer does. And they're either going to say, oh, that's quiet, oh, that's loud, or meh. First shot with the new Darton ST2. Ooh, hey. I was expecting a little bit more of a dump off. Okay. The reason I said I was expecting a little bit more of a dump off on the back end is because on my Sequel 33, I took the skinny stops out and put the fat stops in because it did have a little bit of a dump off. This bow does not. I forgot to mention, when I pulled it back on the scale, it was just a tick over 70 pounds, like 70.2, and I am a 29-inch draw, so I did set it to that. So very realistic hunting specs. Let's shoot it again. God, hey. I gotta be careful because I'm a little biased towards longer axle-to-axle bows. I personally prefer anything from a 33 to a 35. 34 is kind of my sweet spot, but I can make any of them work. But this one right here, Lord. I'm digging that draw cycle. And just like from any other long axle-to-axle bow, the string angle is mint. I'm not getting a loud report. I've got a shotgun mic set up to where it's coned straight at me, or actually straight at the bow, to give y'all a very realistic representation of what I'm hearing, or in this case, what I'm not hearing. Yeah, and the vibration is very little to none. And keep in mind, I don't have anything on here other than a D-loop and an arrow rest, so after I put my stabilizers, my sight, and all that good jazz on there, it's going to be not even noticeable. I'll be honest with you, I don't even know what this boat retails for. I forgot to ask Randy, but if I had to guess, it's probably going to be $1,300, $1,400 or less. I know the Sequel 33 was $11.99 MSRP last year, so I'm assuming with all the upgrades, it's going to cost a little bit more money. But knowing from what they've done over the past 2 years, I don't think it's going to be a $1,500, $1,600 ordeal. So I'm going to yell at Randy. God, that draw cycle is lovely. So this draw cycle, the way I would describe it, and I've described this particular draw cycle on other bows in the past. It's constant. What you start with is what you end with. There's not a really big build up in the beginning. There's surprisingly to me, especially, you know, being that I've shot the sequel last year. There's no dump off at the end, and that back wall, it's about as hard as this concrete I'm standing on. Going back to the Folds of Honor ordeal, essentially what it is an organization that's committed to helping the loved ones or spouses of one of our injured or someone in our military who's paid the ultimate sacrifice for us to be able to make YouTube videos. And what it's going to do is any money that is given to that organization, it goes into those family members for their college education. And now what Darton Archery is doing, a percentage of all the sales of the Folds of Honor sequels series is going into that organization to help them. So overall, speed-wise, with the 6.5-inch brace height, it's going to be fast enough to kill anything in North America or theoretically anything in the world that you really want to hunt after. The fact that this is on a 35-inch platform, this would be my pick of the litter. I'm pretty sure, like, I can't remember if I said in the beginning of the video, I'm pretty sure they're coming out with a 31 as well. This is a bow between the long riser, like I said, the brace height and how forgiving it is. It's going to be a bow that you can shoot a lot. Some of you guys that are wanting to bounce back and forth between ASA and hunting, this would be a really good option, a hybrid bow if you would. This is also going to be a bow for any of you guys that have your own little shop at your house. If you want to work on, you're going to be able to do that. But for me personally, as a shop owner, this is going to make my job a whole lot easier as far as tuning, the rotating mod, the 10 pounds of variance you get in the limbs. A 70 goes down to 60, 60, 50, so on and so forth. I'm excited to get these on the rack and figure out what some of the customers are going to say about it.